You may have already realized it. The WWE broadcasts most of its shows live. With wrestling's dangerous side and the many actors involved, problems can easily happen. In this video, we will see several moments together that have been broadcast by mistake, and they may surprise you. It's October 23rd, 2020, right after the weekly SmackDown show, and it's time for Talking Smack. The concept was to discuss the Blue Show with guests. The great Paul Heyman was there to help us prepare for Hell in a Cell, where his protege Roman Reigns faced Jey Uso. Although he has the reputation of being very clever, Paul is going to do something stupid. While he is speaking, he takes a sheet in his hands. But there is a problem. Since it was thin, you could read through it. At that moment, we already understand that he isn't really reading the sheet, given that there is very little text on it. When doing a manipulation, we can even read what is noted there. Check this out. Identify all consequences if Roman loses per Vince. Vince McMahon, the boss, therefore transmitted this directive to Heyman to evoke the consequences of a defeat of the tribal chief at Hell in a Cell. It's something we weren't supposed to see because it's part of the script, while it's important for the company to make us forget it's scripted. This moment happened in 2002 and concerns The Rock, one of the most famous actors today. It took place backstage on Monday Night Raw, on the air. The Rock was talking to Ric Flair in the locker room. When it's time to end the scene, the People's Champion turns to Flair, who has just left, and we hear an employee say "cut" to indicate the shooting is over. Except that the camera was still recording. We then saw The Rock asking if the take was good, no longer being in character. This is one of the very rare times when we have seen a wrestler come out of his role on the screen.
Thanks for remembering us, Nature Boy.
It was even more memorable because at that time there were fewer people who knew they were all acting and that everything was scripted. It's January 2017 on Raw. It was a time when Kevin Owens was the Universal Champion and his friend Chris Jericho always accompanied him.
I'll put you all on the list!
When Jericho was pissed at someone, he put them on his list, and it was great. Mick Foley was doing a promo in the ring to talk about Owens' upcoming match against Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. On that day, Jericho would be imprisoned in a cage above the ring to prevent him from interfering. The two friends will arrive to explain they were victims of an injustice and blame Foley for being mean to them. At that moment, Stephanie McMahon interrupts them. With Foley, she was in charge of the Red Show. But there is a problem we can notice if we look closely. On the big screen behind Stephanie, where there are usually videos that fit the music, there was a Google page. It should have never happened. If it happened, it's because the employees who were taking care of it weren't focused. They did what looks like screen sharing. We even see Facebook tabs. This lack of professionalism was probably not appreciated behind the scenes. It is April 2022 at WrestleMania 38. On that day, Roman Reigns faced Brock Lesnar in the main event. It was a hell of a fight, with a moment when Roman suffers a devastating Kimura from Brock. Because of this, the tribal chief is going to get a big bump on his arm and seems to get hurt for real. We just have to pay attention to his facial expressions to guess it.
Roman able to lift. Roman Reigns.
In the end, Reigns manages to spear his rival for the victory. Just after the end of the match, we can see Lesnar putting his hand on his colleague's neck as if to congratulate him, discreetly. We can imagine that Brock enjoyed his performance and that he maybe wanted to apologize for hurting him. It is a scene that is cool to see when we know the rich history between the two men. We are at Survivor Series in November 2003. The Undertaker faced Vince McMahon in a buried alive match. The concept is very simple. You have to bury your opponent to win. The Phenom didn't hold back since he quickly made his boss bleed. Taker is going to destroy him throughout the match to then go to the place to bury him. But at that moment, the Undertaker's brother Kane was there. He attacks him and manages to put him in the grave. He sends dirt inside to bury him alive and gives Vince the victory. Once again, looking closely, we see the Undertaker holding a shovel to dig. This is the secret of this type of match. The wrestler who is buried must go through a trapdoor at the bottom of the grave to escape before being underground. It's a pity that the cameraman filmed this moment by accident, because otherwise the illusion was perfect. A mistake that can happen in wrestling is that a person is in the field of the camera without it being planned, especially since the show is live. We are on Raw in November 2023, and the Viking character Ivar faced The Miz. Obviously, he was in the locker room to get ready. But during a scene where Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins were talking backstage, a moment is going to be filmed by accident. During their discussion, we can see Ivar in the background appearing in the field of the camera. An employee quickly tells him to back off. We are at the Evolution show on October 28, 2018. It's an important day. For the first time, the company is doing a 100% female event. There are only matches between women, with a Beck Lynch against Charlotte Flair. It was a last woman standing match where everything was allowed, even weapons. At one point, Charlotte does her figure 8 leg lock using a ladder. The idea was that Becky would get out of this hold by taking a chair to hit Charlotte. But they did it wrong. The chair was too far away for Becky to catch it. Referee Mike Chioda, one of the best in the business, discreetly pushes the chair to help Becky. On this occasion, we can congratulate the referee for being reactive and enabling the wrestlers not to be stuck. We are at Night of Champions in 2015. Seth Rollins defended his belt there against the Icon Sting. Something happened there that wasn't supposed to be filmed. The match was intense, with Sting who gave everything despite his age.
Oh, no, my God!
But at one point Seth throws his colleague in the corner of the ring with his powerbomb and it's a disaster. Sting collapses, he has electric shocks all over his body because of it and is really not well. He manages to resume the match but is sent a second time in the corner. This time Sting collapses again and is even worse off. A doctor comes into the ring to help him. We will learn that the officials backstage were talking non-stop in the referee's earpiece, being very worried about Sting. They were asking a lot of questions and the referee ended up activating the button on his microphone to tell them that Sting wasn't okay. We very rarely see the referee communicating with the officials during a match. Despite everything, Sting will continue the confrontation, which was impressive considering how badly he was doing. He persevered and finished the match, and we can only respect him for that. This neck injury will force the legend to retire, but Sting will still manage to go to All Elite Wrestling a few years later to finish his career there. It's April 2021 on Raw. It was a period when there was a program between Bad Bunny and Damian Priest on the one hand, The Miz and John Morrison on the other. It will lead to a tag team match at WrestleMania 37, where the singer will be impressive.
I said it before.
On Raw, Priest had a match against The Miz and Morrison. At one point, he throws himself at his opponents outside the ring. His leg brutally hits John Morrison's head. A few seconds later, we see the wrestler patting his colleague's shoulder. It was a way of indicating to him everything was fine and that he hadn't hurt him. It shouldn't have been filmed, but we can see that the wrestlers care about the condition of their colleagues. It's November 2019 at NXT UK, a branch of the Federation at the time. A major technical error has taken place there and it is shocking. By accident, the company is going to broadcast live on its YouTube channel the rehearsal of the show that took place in the evening. Without fans, of course, every moment of the show was prepared. It enabled the cameraman to know where to put himself, for example. The whole choreographed aspect of wrestling was obvious. In fact, it was a live stream that was mistakenly placed in a playlist on YouTube to which everyone had access. If a user was watching WWE content at that very moment, he may accidentally stumble upon this broadcast on the organization's channel. There were even spoilers from the matches of the evening. The amateurism didn't stop there. This video will stay accessible even after the beginning of the show, and we will hear employees talking live to each other. It's still crazy that a mistake like this happens while WWE production is usually at a very high level. We can say that wrestling is an amazing industry. I hope you had a good time watching this video, and I invite you to stay on the paradise of wrestling to look at some other ones. See you right away.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so. What?